In 1962, The Longest Day was released to great fanfare. It was an ambitious production aiming to portray the D-Day landings in Normandy with accuracy, scale, and respect for those who fought. With a sprawling cast of over 40 major actors, including John Wayne, Robert Mitchum, Richard Burton, and Sean Connery, it was one of the most expensive and logistically complex war films ever made. Today, we're breaking it down: the good, the bad, and where it stands in war cinema history. Let's start with the good. First, the sheer scale of the production is impressive. Shot in black and white for a documentary-style look, The Longest Day doesn't center on just one character or one nation. Instead, it offers a wide-angle view of the Normandy invasion, switching between American, British, French, and German perspectives. For a film of its time, that was groundbreaking. It aimed not just to entertain, but to educate, giving audiences a fuller understanding of how massive and complex the D-Day operation really was. Second, the commitment to authenticity is commendable. Many of the locations used were the actual battlefields where the real events took place. Military advisors included generals and soldiers who had landed in Normandy themselves. The uniforms, weaponry, and even troop formations were meticulously researched. Dialogue is spoken in native languages, German officers speak German, the French resistance speaks French, which helps create a sense of realism rarely seen in Hollywood productions of the era. Third, the ensemble cast is unmatched. John Wayne, though older than the role he played, brings his signature authority to the screen. Robert Mitchum delivers a grounded performance as Brigadier General Cota, and Richard Burton's brief role is filled with melancholy gravitas. These were major stars lending their weight to a film with a clear patriotic and historical purpose. While no character gets deep development, each actor plays their role with sincerity, giving emotional resonance to what could have been a purely strategic depiction. Fourth, the structure of the film mirrors the complexity of the invasion itself. It's divided into multiple threads: British glider landings, the storming of Omaha Beach, the paratrooper drops, the French sabotage efforts, and the editing weaves these narratives together effectively. The film keeps you aware that this wasn't just one battle, but a series of simultaneous events all contributing to a larger mission. This mosaic format became a template for future war films, including Saving Private Ryan and Dunkirk. Fifth, the score by Maurice Jarre is stirring without being overly dramatic. It supports the emotional tone of each segment without overwhelming it. Combined with the use of silence in certain scenes, the audio work helps maintain the film's serious reverent tone. But now let's get into the bad, because while The Longest Day deserves praise, it's far from perfect. First, the film's pacing can be slow, especially for modern viewers. At over 2 hours and 50 minutes, the film takes its time introducing every character and scenario. Because it tries to cover so much ground, it often sacrifices momentum. There are moments where the narrative loses urgency, not because of lack of action, but because there's simply too much going on. Second, the character development is minimal. We get brief introductions and iconic faces, but few characters feel deeply human. They serve more as historical avatars than as emotionally layered individuals. If you're looking for a war film with personal stakes, like The Thin Red Line or 1917, this one may feel emotionally distant. Third, the casting of American stars like John Wayne in roles that don't always align with their age or physique stands out. Wayne was nearly 55, playing a paratroop officer who historically would have been in his late 20s or early 30s. It's a small point, but it highlights Hollywood's tendency at the time to cast name recognition over realism. Fourth, the German and French perspectives, while included, are still somewhat surface level. The film deserves credit for including multiple sides, but it doesn't dive deeply into the internal conflict or personal struggles on those fronts. There's very little moral complexity, just a clear depiction of Allies versus Axis forces. Fifth, despite its attention to historical detail, there are factual liberties. Some sequences are dramatized, compressed, or simplified for cinematic effect. That's understandable in a feature film, but it means The Longest Day works best as a tribute, not a documentary. So what's the final verdict? The Longest Day is a powerful, respectful, and technically impressive film that captures the magnitude of D-Day like no other movie of its time. It paved the way for modern war films and set the standard for large-scale, multi-narrative storytelling in the genre. But it's also a product of its time, heavy on grandeur, light on character intimacy, and occasionally bogged down by its own ambition. It may not resonate emotionally like later war films, but it remains a significant achievement, especially when viewed as a piece of cinematic history. If you want to understand how D-Day was represented in film before the age of realism and handheld chaos, The Longest Day is essential viewing. Whether you're a student of history, a war film enthusiast, or just a fan of classic cinema, this film offers a panoramic view of one of the most pivotal days in modern history. And for that, it earns both respect and critique. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you enjoy classic war film breakdowns, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hits and misses of cinema's most ambitious works.